Kentuckian myself, and I know what a great community this is, how impactful those people that suffered and have died are, and we've seen it all day. We know it is tearing at the community, and we're deeply sorry. And we are here to try to find out not only what happened, but why it happened, and more importantly, how do we prevent it from happening again? So here is some factual information we have at this time. And I'm going to read a few notes to make sure we have it exact. The airplane involved was a McDonnell Douglas II, which was then altered to be an MD-11F. The F stands for freighter. It is now handled by the Boeing Corporation. So whenever you hear that Boeing is a party, it is because of the merger with McDonnell Douglas many years ago. The plane was manufactured in 1991 with a tail number of November 259 UP. The plane was traveling from Louisville, Kentucky to Honolulu, Hawaii. There were 3 souls on board the plane. After being cleared for takeoff, a large plume of fire in the area of the left wing occurred during the takeoff roll. The plane lifted off and gained enough altitude to clear the fence at the end of runway 17R. Shortly after clearing that fence, it made impact with structures and the terrain off of the airport property. A post-impact fire ensued, which covers approximately almost a half of a mile. Now, we have viewed airport CCTV security coverage, which shows the left engine detaching from the wing during the takeoff roll. This and other videos, along with evidence we are finding, are a very valuable asset to our investigators in helping us hone further which areas we were going to be focusing on as we move into further days of the investigation. Now, let me tell you a little bit about our process at the NTSB. What we will do is analyze the facts, determine the probable cause of this accident, and then issue a report on those recommendations. Now, the investigator in charge of this is with me here. It's Chi-Hoon Shin, who has been with the NTSB for 13 years. He is one of our more senior investigators, and in fact was leading one of the groups during the DCA crash. He has a number of other individuals with them. We have approximately 28 from our headquarters and other locations that are either on the ground or will be here before the end of the day. They're also being supported by dozens of individuals at our headquarters in Washington, D.C. and other field offices. As part of this investigation, we will be forming specific groups. And when we form a group, it will be a focus area led by an NTSB individual along with subject matter experts that are in that field that can provide expertise to help analyze the evidence. Our current groups that are being formed are operations. They will review the history of the accident flight and the crew members' duties for as many days before the crash that appear relevant. Our structures group will document the airframe wreckage, the accident scene, including the calculation of the impact angles to help determine the plane's pre-impact course and altitude. We also have a power plants group. They will work on the examination of the engines and engine accessories. We have a systems group. They will study the components of the plane's hydraulic, electrical, pneumatic, and associated systems, together with the instruments and elements of the flight control system. Now, outside of that group, we have also brought in, and another group that we'll have will be maintenance, which will obviously be looking at maintenance records, any work that's been done on this plane for as long as back as needed. We are also bringing in specialists in air traffic control, human performance, aircraft performance, reporters, government relations, media relations. And in addition to our investigators, we have brought 5 of our transportation disaster assistance team. They will be dealing with the survivors, the families, and others under what we call a federally legislated accident from the 1996 Family Assistance Act. Now, tonight we will be holding an organizational meeting and establishing parties to our investigation. Because we're very new into it, we will not be announcing the parties at this moment, but they will obviously be manufacturers of the aircraft, operators of the aircraft, unions representing some of the members. We'll have more details on that probably tomorrow during a briefing. Now, the NTSB offers this party status to those companies, government agencies, and associations that have employees or activities or equipment involved in the accident. And we offer this because they have subject matter expertise and technical expertise and relevant information to help support the development of the best possible report. Now, once a party joins an NTSB investigation, they are not permitted to release documents or talk publicly about the investigation without the consent of the NTSB. Now, you can rest assured right now all of the parties or potential parties are complying with that requirement, and they're cooperating fully with the NTSB investigators. Again, it will be only the NTSB that will release information regarding this accident going forward. Tomorrow will be our first full day on scene. Our investigative teams, we anticipate, will be here at least a week, if not longer. Our mission, again, is to understand not only what happened, but why it happened, and recommend changes to prevent it from happening again. We will not be determining the probable cause while we are here on scene, nor will we speculate about what may have caused this. Now, since we're just beginning with the investigation, we don't have more factual information to give you at this time, but we believe over the next couple of days we'll be able to avail a little bit further for you. I do want to also mention this just happened in the last basically 30 minutes. We have identified the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder. This is what is commonly referred to as the black box. We have investigators now that have located it. As you can imagine, it's suffered some heat, not intrusion, but heat around it. These recorders are built for that. And just before we get the question, these recorders were updated from its original manufacturer. They are L3 Harris, installed at 2 different dates. We're going back and verifying that. But we feel comfortable once we get these to our lab in DC that we will be able to get a good readout of the applicable data, and that will be yet another point of information that will really help us understand what happened during this point of flight. So I would ask, though, if you have the opportunity to let the public know, we know there's a lot of debris out there. And it's in some yards, it's in some business locations. If you can have any debris or you see something that you think is from an aircraft, please contact us at the email address witness@ntsb.gov. Again, that email address is witness@ntsb.gov. Sometimes we get some very good information from items that are found, and with a debris field a half-mile long, we're still making the determination of exactly where and what parts of the airplane and where they're at. Now, be happy to take a few questions. Again, we are limited in the information. When you do, please tell me who you're with and what your name is. Tom, you made the trip.
Thank you, sir. Member Inman, can you talk about photo that we've seen and video as well of what appears to be an engine sitting on the side of a road or on the road? Is that, in fact, do you believe that's the number 1 left side engine? And separately, you talked about the black boxes that you've identified them, and they should be able to withstand heat, but can you describe what they look like and what, if any, marks, sear marks, black marks there are on those black boxes?
Okay, the first question was basically the engine that's been seen in some photographs. We do believe that that is the engine from the left side of the plane. It is actually on the airfield, so it's not off the airport property. That correlates with the video that we've seen of it detaching from the airplane while it is in flight. We also know that a fire was occurring during that time, and so we're analyzing that. In fact, we have teams right now that are preparing to do the runway in what we call a FOD walk. That is foreign object debris. Obviously, the runways have been shut down, but we need to not only take drone coverage and video coverage of where every piece of this evidence is, but then we need to recover it and tag it, and those will give us even more pieces of information. So right now it's still on the field. We're making arrangements for that evidence to be recovered and stored in a secure location. And once we are able to analyze it, we may need to ship it off for specialists for things like that. But we do feel comfortable that we're going to get a lot of good information from it. What was your second part?
Jeff, can you describe the physical condition, what you saw, how those black boxes actually look?
The physical condition of the black boxes. I've only seen one picture. You could easily tell that it was a black box, 2 types of cylinders on top. Our specialists said they were able to easily identify that. We don't know until it gets to Washington, D.C. I will tell you that they're manufactured to a very specific standard. Luckily, they were not in a post-impact fire for multiple days or on the bottom of the ocean. So while the fire may have been intense, it is built to withstand that. And once we get them to D.C. and we can open them up and take these steps, and sometimes we have to take multiple steps. Now, it will be multiple, or at least several days before we have a readout of those, because as we take them apart, we need to let some of our groups go through and do what's called audition them, and then they'll come up with a potential or partial transcript looking for identifying markers that we need to delve into further while we're on the ground. So, and as always, we will never be releasing the actual audio of any of those conversations out of respect for those who are involved in the aircraft. Yes, sir.
Alex Capriello with News Nation. While the black boxes in the data recorders are certainly built to withstand heat and exposure and the sort of catastrophe that occurred here, can you give us an idea about the rest of the aircraft, the fuselage, if anything exists, and then perhaps even larger point, the difficulty for you and your investigators when there is a debris field that's half a mile long?
So the question is how the rest of the fuselage, the airplane, as it rests right now, what we may have seen, and how it impacts the investigation. We've seen some aerial videos and some photographs. The emergency management here, along with the first responders, have done an amazing job. We've been working with them since we've gotten on the ground. They have some command posts set up, and I just want to applaud them for not only the work they've done and the work they are doing and the courtesies they're providing us, along with the UPS staff and everyone here at the airport. But to answer the ultimate question, there are a lot of different parts of this airplane in different places. I mean, whenever you have a post-impact to not only structures but also to the terrain, you have to analyze why it came there, and then how do you recover it correctly in order to analyze it. So I can't give you a real good definition of what it is. There's a lot of different parts. It doesn't complicate it to where it's not recoverable. A mile and a half, a half a mile is a pretty large distance, but we have to be very cautious. The main thing we're also worried about are the safety of not only the investigators, but the first responders that are there. We know that there's been some shelter in places in the area. We also know that while the fire departments were working throughout the night, there were occasionally little flare-ups in different spots. So they're having to constantly monitor that to make sure it's safe for someone to get in. So it may not be the length of the debris field. It may be where the debris field is in, say, a recycling facility or another location, and the amount of course fuel that the plane was carrying. Those can all add to the complexity of an investigation. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Jeff Garvey at the Times. Is there a chance that staffing shortages caused by the government shutdown in any capacity could be tied to this?
So the question was, are we aware of any staffing shortages because of the government shutdown? We are not at this time. SDF Tower, from what we can see and what we've been told, was at its proper complement. I don't have the exact records, but I will put you to the fact that we have formed groups in areas that we're focusing information on. We have not formed an ATC group. We have specialists in that, but at this point, it has not elevated itself to the point to where we feel they need an entire working group. And I would go back to the same thing in regard to the shutdown. Our investigators have been working since the day it started, the shutdown occurred. I've been working every day since then. We've only recalled a few individuals yesterday just to handle some of the logistics of our travel and our movements. But we have everyone we need and then some in order to make sure we're performing this investigation. Yes, sir.
Looking for some context. How rare is it that you see a plane with this much fuel on it going down and creating the fire that we saw?
Okay, so the question is how much fire in regard to this fuel load, and how in the United States we don't see it very much, which is great, and it means that the recommendations, we've made over 15,000 recommendations in our 65-year history. We have about an 82% success ratio. We have a mantra that used to be in front of our training facility, and it's from tragedy we draw knowledge to improve the safety for all. And so for every tragedy we've had, we draw more knowledge and we try to learn from that. And we hope that we don't repeat the same mistakes. So in this case, I'm sure we're going to learn some new things. We're going to make some recommendations and some findings. What they are yet, we do not know. But I would say a freighter that's fully loaded, that's going to Honolulu, is going to have a large amount of fuel. And that obviously was a part of the post-accident response. Yes, sir.
What's the rotating speed of a fully fueled MD-11? How fast is it going up to a
The question was, what is the rotation speed?
takeoff?
Takeoff speed? 175, 180? I don't have the exact figures for you. I apologize. I'm not a pilot. We will be looking at that. Typically, you're looking at speeds in the 150s to 180s, 190s, but I don't want to give you a definitive number because I would be guessing. And some of those are based upon exactly what's occurring at what point of flight that it's occurring. So there's a lot of different things that go into it in addition to the weight and balance. All of these have been mapped out over decades to specifically know how much thrust and speed is needed to obtain lift and to achieve it, and if necessary, to do an emergency diversion. So we've had a lot of experience with that. I don't know at this point if it will be a factor, but it's certainly something we'll look at. Yes, sir.
Dylan Lovin and Associated Press. Was this flight delayed and maintenance being done on this flight?
So the question was this flight delayed or were maintenance being done before that? We, as part of the maintenance group, they will be going back and looking at every aspect of maintenance that was done on this plane and how many cycles since it's occurred. To date, UPS has indicated to us that it was not delayed and that there was not maintenance work done immediately before. Now, again, that is information that we will still collaborate and independently verify, but at least by first glance, we do not see that happening. I know it's been reported some places, but we have not found something to lead us into looking at an immediate pre-takeoff.
Two more questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of any airworthiness directives that were out regarding MD-11 or the engine manufacturers?
The question is in regard to airworthiness directives regarding the engine or the actual aircraft. I am not aware of any. We go through a very regimented process of things that we view and try to review: maintenance records, airworthiness directives, advisory circulars, service bulletins. To say that there's none would be probably very unlikely because an aircraft that's been flying for that many years could have had multiple different generations. It will be something that we'll look at. We'll be confirming whether the work was done or how it was done and who did it. But at this point, we have not seen anything that's said we need to hone in on a specific area. One more question? Yes, sir.
Tom Riddle, WHAS here in Louisville. How much of your investigation focuses on the runway itself here at SDF, and will the runway remain shut down as we continue to investigate?
So the question is in regard to how much of our investigation will focus on the runway and how long it will be shut down. The runway itself, from what we have seen, was obviously being used continually. Louisville has a lot of operations every day. They have a really great crew that works on their operations, maintenance, and upkeep. We'll be looking at any type of factors, such as when they last did a FOD scan or whether there was good skid, whatever. A lot of different things go into the actual pavement. So right now, we're not seeing something that says we need to open up an airport working group. In regard to the closure of the runway, we're very cognizant. I mean, I was here 4 months ago, meeting with the safety staff. They invited me up, got to talk to the president of UPS Airlines and all of their safety staff. We were walking through a lot of different scenarios. And one of the things that struck me was not only is this a company that moves freight, they are delivering life-saving drugs, postal products, food, supplements, you name it, that come through this hub every night. And so we've been emphasizing the need to make sure we're getting every piece of perishable evidence and doing it in the most diligent way, but at the same time, understanding that this investigation could slow down a lot of important products, not just for this company, but for Americans across the country and across the world. And I think we have to be cognizant of that. That's the reason why we were working so diligently today to try to do the mapping and to get the FOD walk. In regard to actually keeping the runway shut down, we do not shut down runways. It is the airport authority. Obviously, they have been working with us in a great fashion and are trying to do everything they can to make sure we have the information. But we are hopeful that we can turn over at least one of the runways shortly, and as soon as possible, the other runway, while still preserving all the evidence. Thank you very much.
About a timeline when you might have a preliminary report out?
It'll be about 30 days for the preliminary report.
Thank you.
keep that on.
Yeah.
And you get that on.